Hey everybody, I am in my car and just want to have a little chit chat, I guess. I just got out of work a few minutes ago. I know a lot of you have asked where do I work or what am I doing, and what I do is I work the front desk at one of my son's gyms. So I take care of a lot of new people coming in, and I also do some cleaning. So anyhow, what I wanted to talk about was a lady I ran into yesterday, an old friend of mine, or well, really, I guess I wouldn't even classify her as a friend, an acquaintance, but I've known her a long time. And I haven't seen her in a long time either. So, one of the things she asked me, though, kind of, I don't know, stuck with me. She said, so, if you're not living up at the cabin, then I guess you're not doing that homesteading thing anymore, right? And I'm like, yeah, that homesteading thing, you know, and I sat there thinking, is that what people think? Because I'm not at the cabin, I no longer do homesteading things. Or you're not a homesteader unless you're living really rural, or you know, raising animals, that kind of stuff. I don't know, am I still a homesteader? I think I am. I mean, I started doing this stuff years ago when I was still living in the city. And then, well, yeah, I started, well, I've gardened for many years. But then when I was still in the city was when I started learning how to can, and I started dehydrating. And we had a little mini compost going on, and my husband was so funny. He started his worm composting business, and yeah, we had a lot of bins of worms. He didn't consider it a composting business, though. He was raising worms, was what he was doing, but they were the worms that you use in composting. And I often thought that if we hadn't been in the city, how far he would have gotten with that business, because he eventually shut it down shortly before we moved out of the city. And he had gotten a couple of calls for this outrageously huge amount of worms. And he couldn't fulfill it, of course. But somehow that morphed into the quail. But anyways, so yeah, I started baking bread, which I had never done that from scratch before. So I was on my way. Before I started the whole homesteading thing, though, I was a prepper. So I had a lot of food storage and just knowledge that I gained from that. And the prepping morphed into the homesteading. And then, yeah, we moved outside of the city and started raising animals and stuff like that. That's, you know, when I first started the channel and everything. And by that time I had gotten really heavily into herbs and oils and natural everything. So I think that was my very first video, was something to do with finding weeds / herbs in your own surrounding. And few years after that, then I started getting into foraging and rain collecting, you know, water collection and stuff like that. And then eventually we moved to the cabin, and yeah, we had the rain barrels, and that was the water we used, and the composting toilet. We were heavily into composting there, and the wood heat and everything. You guys know if you've seen the videos and stuff. And no, I'm not at the cabin right now, and I don't know when I'll be back there. I mean, of course I go and visit and I spend weekends and stuff like that. But I just mean living full time. I don't know if and when that will happen. But does that mean I'm not a homesteader because I'm not there? I don't think so. That would mean all of you doing the same things I'm doing are not homesteaders. You know, you do it where you are. If your plan, if your goal is to eventually, you know, become more rural and raise animals and provide your own meat and have chickens and, you know, collect rainwater and, you know, all that other stuff, then that's great, you know. But, you know, just trying to do more for yourself. If you can raise your own meat, if you can grow some of your own food, if you can collect some of your own water, you know, if you can be prepared, you know, those are all the ways of homesteaders. And so, I don't know, I just feel like no matter where I am, I'll always be a homesteader. I think one trait of homesteaders is never liking to waste anything, and man, does that get you sometimes at the end of the year gardening or whatever, and you have some of this extra and you want to put it up but just don't have the time, and you know, you've got nobody to give it to, or you already gave out so much and there's no more takers, or that kind of stuff really that grates on my nerves. And I try not to let it happen too often, but sometimes it does. And I just bring that up because I'm thinking about these tomatoes that I had wrapped in newspaper so that they could finish ripening. And I didn't realize how many I did. Not really enough to can, but too many for fresh. So I'm sitting there, wow, I wish I really had some chickens right about now. But anyhow, yeah, it was just something I was thinking about, you know, and I guess I wouldn't mind some input or feedback from you guys. Do you consider yourself a homesteader? Where are you from? How do you live? What do you think about homesteaders if you don't consider yourself one? Have you had any feedback from friends or relatives about, you know, the whole lifestyle and whatever? And I don't know, do you agree or disagree with me? Everybody has an opinion, you know, it doesn't mean any of them are right or wrong. We've all lived different lives and we can only view the world through our own eyes, right? Hopefully, though, you know, we're all open to hearing different views and opinions. But, yeah, so that was just a little something I thought I'd throw at you. And yeah, I do consider myself a homesteader, and I probably always will. And I don't know, I guess it doesn't matter where you're planted at the moment. You know, if you want to be able to do these kinds of things, and you can do these kinds of things, then in my opinion, you should. Anyhow, yeah, leave me some comments. I'd be glad to hear them. We'll talk to you soon. Take care. And one last thing I wanted to ask you guys, I forgot. If you happened to catch last week's premiere video, you were on when it went live and we chatted, could you leave me a little bit of feedback, if you can, on how you liked it? I'm going to try and do another one of these premiere things. I'm still not sure how everything with this works, but I'm trying to figure it out, and the camera keeps wobbling. But if you guys liked them or you want to see more of them, let me know. I'd really like to hear about it. Thanks.